Welcome back, everybody, to week number 3 of the Quake Pro League, where my name is Ketchup and I'm joined by Flea on the desk. And it's the final stretch. It's the last series of the night. We had EU and CIS. We've had 3 of our Americas, and there's one more left to go. And it is a heavy hitter. Rapha, the man himself, versus Psygib. This is going to be quite the test for Psygib, who has been on a very recent climb and really shown that he is one of the top contenders in that part of the world. But I mean, Rapha, the greatest Quake player of all time. This is a formidable opponent for sure.
Yeah, and they went up against each other at QuakeCon, obviously, and back then Rapha beat Psygib 2-0, so if that's anything to go by, we might be looking at another very one-sided game. But then on the other hand, Psygib has been widely touted as one of the few players in NA that could actually put a dent into the fortress that is Rapha, so hopefully for him, he might be able to bring something special to the table tonight.
For me, I think the Americas section of this Pro League, the talking point is always, can someone take it to Rapha? Is there someone in this part of the world that can really bring it to him, dare I say, defeat him, and make him look vulnerable going into the lands? And that's, I think, the talking point for a lot of people that watch this portion of Pro League. We did see Dahang take a map off Rapha. It was 2-1 when they went head-to-head. But so far, I believe he 3-0'd Nosfa last week. Yeah. And Psygib is one of the other players that we would look in this position to see, is it possible? But if this is a 3-0 for Psygib, then perhaps we are in a position once more where Rapha is going to be collecting points throughout the course of these weeklies, and we'll see him at the LAN. There's so many talking points and so many possibilities. They are yet to happen, and this match should be a killer for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Rapha, the man needs no introduction, as you said earlier, the greatest Quake player of all time. In any of the LANs that have happened during the lifetime of Quake champions, Rapha has not once been out of the top 5.
There is always...
once.
When we were talking about the greatest Quake players that have ever lived, we would always factor in players and their different games. And I think it is just the success of Quake champions combined with the legacy Rapha had created before that I think has firmly cemented him as the world's greatest in history, because he's been so dominant in so many different levels of Quake, but obviously the big one being Quake Live, but Quake Champions, he's just become, dare I say, even better. Now the tournaments are high, that the money is higher than it's ever been, and so have the stakes. Yet he still performs.
I mean, he's had some excellent results, like I just mentioned, and one of the great things about Rapha is not only does he have more QuakeCon wins than literally anyone else in the world, but he also doesn't just excel at duel. Also, we talked about it earlier, 2v2, Team Liquid, undisputable, the greatest in the world, have yet to lose a single large tournament in 2v2, often going through the entire tournament without even dropping a single game. So they are an amazing team, and Rapha, I mean, that just cements his position as being the greatest in the world.
But in the 2v2 days, there was a specific star fragger over in North America, and his name was Psygib. He was consistently placing impressively well with the 2v2 days, and he was just a top performer. He was a player to watch out for, and whenever you saw him in a bracket, it was, alright, I've got to watch out, because this guy is no joke. This guy is really, really good, and he has a lifetime of Quake, just like everyone else. He is a smart player, and he does some really crazy decisions that only the people at the highest level would understand sometimes. And we'll see if that's going to be enough to bring it to Rapha. And like I said, this is a test for him. This is very much so, I think, just, can he do it?
And add on to that, he's not just smart, but he's also got some amazing combat skills. Very often in 2v2 tournaments, we saw him just get ridiculous amounts of damage that you just wouldn't expect anyone to be able to do. So Psygib, I mean, he's got them both. He's got the brain, he's got the brawn, and he's looking to maybe put a dent in the Rapha tonight.
I don't think he's one of the players that has to worry about being on the lower end of the leaderboards, that for sure. No. But if he can take out Rapha tonight, that is going to be, I mean, champions falling like flies. We had Kilson earlier because of Wenger. Can it happen as the last match of the night? We do have the vetoes, we have the maps and the picks and bans. Kicking things off in the Vale of Nath. Normally that's the final map, but this time it's going to be number 1. The Nyx was banned away, Ranger, and then Galena. And then up next, Awoken, which is Nyx picked next, and then the Visor. Gonna have a bit of a question mark there, but I'm sure we'll see. We'll see.
Might see a clarification come up soon.
Either way, but then finally, Blood Covenant with the Slash and then the Anarchy.
I mean, I even brought this one up before our very first match of the day. We've got 2 light champions going up against each other, and that's something that we always never see. So Slash, Rapha is well known as being one incredible Slash player, and then of course going up against Anarchy, that's going to be a very fast and explosive game for sure.
I'm actually particularly excited for the final map because we so rarely see two like champions that are super high speed actually playing. It's normally one or the other. You know, someone goes for like almost like a sort of slower kind of champion that can kind of control the pace a little bit, and then someone's picking this champion that's just all over the place. But this time we're actually going to get it both sides, which is pretty cool. But no, Veil is, you know, that's a map that Rapha kind of invented when it was put back into the competitive rotation. No, and it was almost this time last year. It was Luca Comics and Games in Italy, the big Italian LAN, and Rapha was just up until the grand finals destroying everybody, and a huge part of that was Veil of Nath, where he had studied this map down to a science, and no one had as much of a gauge on it as he did. But now we're kicking things off, and people have obviously caught up a little bit since then. Is it going to be enough? Wow. First blood in less than 10 seconds.
Yeah, what an aggressive push from Rapha, just getting the rockets and then using the orb to close the distance, do the damage, and he knows that Psygib has very little to work with. And even at this point, Psygib has little to stop Rapha with, and there we go. That's an excellent rocket jump, getting himself the heavy, and still just getting out alive without taking any damage whatsoever.
Rapha, extensive experience versus pretty much all of these players. Rapha having a impressive leaderboard placing in the ranked leagues here in Duel, and you know, I mean, his competition are the players he comes head-to-head with in the Quake Pro League. So you rest assured he has played hundreds of games versus pretty much everyone in this running, which naturally I think would actually give Rapha an advantage. And the more time he has to download you.
Yeah. Oof, that's unfortunate for Psygib there though. He messed up the jump over to the Mega Health and kind of fell down, and that was an opportunity to steal a major item, but instead Rapha is just going to continue holding on to that control. Out comes the rocket jump, and he might actually get Psygib stuck here. That's a nice 100 damage rocket and the rail to finish it off as well. Rapha looking solid from the very start.
Put him in an unsurvivable position, do what must be done, get that little bit of execution with that rail shot, and it's just going to be another day at the office here for Rapha, who hasn't quite hit any rocket damage yet. Goes in for the rocket jump because he knows he has nothing to fear. Goes in for the rail. High risk, high reward. Goes for a second shot. Psygib dies again. This is a fantastic start for Rapha, as expected.
Yeah, a very common point that people used to make about Rapha is that he's an incredibly intelligent player. That's why his nickname is, of course, the Professor. He's always 5 steps ahead. But his aim has never been something that truly was up there with the absolute best aimers in the world. But Rapha is someone who's been really working on that, and he's bringing the shots, he's bringing the aim, and now we can basically go toe-to-toe to anyone. And there we go, Psygib 4 frags down in just 2 minutes.
You reach a level where you give Rapha the best aim in the business, and I mean, we may as well just quit. Just give the guy the trophy every single time.
Yeah, no need to play.
It's been one hell of a start, and fortunately for Psygib, the moment you concede as many frags as he has done this early on, I mean, it's a good thing he is composed, because this can knock a player. You know, when you die 4 times in 2 minutes against someone like Rapha, it's like, well, what can I do? You know, what is there that can be done? Never lose sight of what you're trying to achieve. And
yeah,
Rapha, I mean, he can literally, I'm assuming he can have a bit of a sixth sense. There's going to be a totem down there. It's Galena. It's a risk that you take. Yeah. Rapha assessed the health situation and knew that even after he took the totem, he would still have the health to win this fight. And if Psygib didn't get out a second later, he would have died for sure.
Yeah, I like the use of the nail gun right there. It's not a weapon that you see used all that often, especially when you've got other weapons to work with as well. But Rapha's one of these players who uses these, you know, non-standard weapons like lightning gun, rocket launcher, and railgun very often, and often very effectively too. Now he's gonna find Psygib off the bat. Out comes the orb and the rockets, knowing that Psygib obviously has very little to work with, and he's just going to extend his lead even further.
Psygib kind of caught in the wrong part of town right there, as he had the rockets and the stack and the dire orb. I mean, that's a point where there's no escape unless you rocket jump, and even then Rapha definitely would have chased that one down.
Yep.
The totem's not going to quite save his skin. Shotgun's going to come close to doing it. Psygib doing what he can to survive, but yeah, I mean, at that point, what even can you do?
Yeah, nowhere to run.
I thought maybe he'd even try and steal the heavy away to at least like deny that before a death, but
yeah,
Psygib deciding not to, and he's going to die anyway. Here comes the LG and the swap to the SSG. Daisy, thank you very much. Yep. 7-0, and we're not even halfway through, Flea. This is an absolute body bag.
And Rapha picking up the Mega right off the bat as well. Small armor will be going his way as well. He doesn't really need it, but at least that way he can deny it for Psygib in the future. Although this could be an opportunity for Psygib if he can get a good drop. And there we go. Psygib actually managing to take heavy, gets the stack advantage. And right now Rapha doesn't manage to land the rail. This could be excellent for Psygib. Perfect push through the bounce pad. Very risky, but Rapha was just not ready for that.
Very rarely you'll see someone go up that jump pad willingly, but in that instance he genuinely had the health to work with and he knew that he could take Rapha out. It was a good choice. And it's what he needs to try and get from this. Rapha, a bit far behind, hitting the defensive rail, but a little bit more work needs to be done. It is a risk for Psygib to do this. It's self-damage of the rocket jump and Rapha being ready for the rail. So now, even though he got a kill, Psygib is not the healthiest.
No. He's looking good though. I mean, he just picked up heavy, and there we go. That's a decent amount of damage. As I say that he's looking good, Rapha just pushes through a teleporter, lands a rocket and an orb combo, and down he goes once again. And now Rapha, Mega will be going his way. Is he going to chase through? Again, looking at the health situation, maybe deciding that he just didn't have enough armor to take that 40 damage of the totem that he would definitely incur right there. So just going around instead.
Well, you always know as Ranger, you're going to be a little bit more free to do those rocket jumps thanks to the passive, reduce self-damage, and he goes in for the orb again. Psygib so close, but so far every single time. That orb just has other plans every time a fight breaks out. We've only just had 5.5 minutes, and Rapha's almost hitting that 10 frag mark. Psygib, I mean, there are some signs of life, but ultimately he's not able to really accomplish much. And alright, perfect trap. I was about to actually point out, yeah, he definitely caught Rapha slipping there. He had no idea he was right behind him.
That was such a good play. Rapha didn't see it coming and went down rather quickly, but ouch. Direct rocket in the rocket room, and Psygib has to go restack again before he can make a move onto anything, and that's probably going to give Rapha Mega. Yeah, indeed, Rapha taking that big health kit and looking for an opportunity to do the same with the heavy armor.
But again, now the tide can shift. You know, we're 6 minutes in. Rapha has a lot of time to work with, but he has a comfortable lead and a comfortable stack. Taking heavy is a bit of a risk. No damage has been returned. Actually, 100% missed rockets on both sides, but...
And that was a good opportunity for Psygib, because Rapha clearly had no idea that he was there, that he was jumping onto heavy first. So if Psygib could have landed some good rockets like he is doing right now, the damage coming out is solid. Totem is going to help him in the end as well. And 4-9, this definitely isn't over just yet.
Definitely won't count the guy out. This is a good situation now. But Rapha, I imagine him controlling the high ground is going to make this a little bit troublesome. Psygib, he's able to get some level of control. The heavy's been in his court a couple of times now. But it's just the danger is always the moment the orb becomes available, those close range fights are just never in Galena's favor unless there's a totem or there's a stack advantage. But I don't see Rapha giving that to him unless he's not going to take a fight unless he's confident he can win it. And he's not going to take a fight unless he has the dire orb first. He's going to pepper down some life right now. He's going to make Psygib super weak. And if a fight breaks out in a teleporter, should Rapha choose to go up and try and strong arm the high ground back, forcing Psygib away, he's going to have a dire orb at his disposal.
Good attempt from Psygib, but Rapha just had to knock back down with the LG, pushing him straight back down. And Psygib unable to really make anything happen there, but here we go, he catches Rapha, he's got the stack advantage. Rail will finish either player off, but no damage will be exchanged anymore. Mega will be going to Psygib though, and he's going to look for an aggressive push.
Wasting time, that's the objective here for Rapha now. He's not as aggressive as he was before because he doesn't need to be. He just needs to sit on this, you know, this frag lead.
Yep.
I almost said life lead, but that's the wrong game.
There's 2 minutes left on the clock for 5 frags, and this is a difficult map to do that on. So Rapha obviously looking to run down the clock. I mean, Rapha's not the kind of player to just run away completely. So if he thinks that he can still force out a frag or reverse the situation, he's definitely going to do that. But obviously chasing down Psygib is no longer a priority.
And now Psygib going up the jump pad, giving Rapha a pretty clean opening. He does get an impressive rail, but he's unable to return it, and that is some painful tribal activity. And the rail. Now we went from it being close and potentially salvageable to that one frag. And
nope.
All right, he made it through. All right. That would have been one of the most hilarious ways to die on this map.
Well, yeah, if you push someone to the side, they'll miss the teleporter completely. And if you're right behind them and give them enough boost, you can actually make them jump over the teleporter in its entirety. So,
yeah, but you ever straight up yeeted your opponent over a teleport entrance and killed them?
Could have very well happened, but not this time. And now 1 minute left on the clock. Rapha, 7 frags in the lead. Psygib this is a goner.
And we have 1 minute left. An impossible task, taking this many frags down to Rapha. Just to tie things up, least of all actually take anything that resembles a lead here. It was well played by Psygib, but it just started to escape him at the last minute. You know, Rapha's absolute change of pace. And now the frags will just rack up, and you know, every frag matters. Play until the bitter end, because you never know.
Absolutely. Although I think that of all players, Rapha is definitely the one that has nothing to worry about when it comes to relegation at this point. But still, you know that the man's driven, and you know that he wants to win every single game he plays. Doesn't matter if it's against a teammate, if it's against another pro, or if it's against just a random person he runs into in the queue. Rapha will go all the way.
Can you imagine joining a ranked queue and just seeing Rapha on the other side? What emotions must someone go through? The 7 stages of grief.
The 7 stages of grief, yeah. Denial can't be the real Rapha, but indeed it would be, and
Part
here we go.
Accepting your death.
Yeah. Rapha, what a convincing win. 15-4, beating Nosfa in every shape, way, and form. 1,000 more damage, lots more item picks-ups. Rapha looking extremely solid.
It was a dominant way to kick things off, and I mean, whenever you see Rapha on this map, you can always expect he's going to do well anyway. Like I said, this is a map that he kind of really, I think, spearheaded when it was initially put into the competitive rotation. And yeah, we're now in a position where everyone's a bit more experienced, yet Rapha still maintains a top world-class level standard whenever we're on Veil of Nath. That was just going to be map number 1. We're going on from one odd small space map to another. It's Awoken next, and another map that Rapha has been historically quite successful at.
It's one that he also really likes. It's one of his favorite maps, if I'm not mistaken, and I think many people feel the same way. It's just such a fun map. It flows so well. You've got that central teleporter. It looks really good as well. It's one of the few maps that looks lively and green. So yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting game.
I mean, ultimately, what happened throughout this map was that Rapha had a colossal lead, and the moment Psygib was in a position where maybe he could start bringing it back, there was fundamentally just the fact that Rapha, to make a comeback like that, you need to find kind of like a miracle opening on somebody that has already been very hard to crack into, and then get either good spawns or have those miracle openings multiple times. And I just think against someone like Rapha, he is very rarely going to put himself in a position to give you that chance to come back.
Yeah, Rapha, once he has control, he's not going to let go easily at all. And when he's got that many frags on you, there's next to nothing you can do. And as you said earlier, Psygib, he showed a few signs of life here and there, but overall, just not enough to actually get full control or to make Rapha really suffer.
So we're loading up now into Awoken, so we'll see how this one goes. Again, I mean, I've got to favour Rapha in this one. We didn't do predictions before the start of this, but I think it's a pretty safe assumption that Rapha should 3-0 this series. And I think the first map kind of confirmed how this could potentially go. I don't want to count out Psygib. I'm never one to say this guy's got no chance, because you never know how someone's going to play on the day. But catching Rapha after a dominating map like that, it's a very tall order to now take 2 maps in a row. After losing as one-sided as Veil of Nath just went for Psygib.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, Rapha, it just historically has also been beating Psygib at most opportunities. He beat him at QuakeCon 2-0, and that's basically the only time that they ran into each other at LAN. But online, Rapha also has a very good track record against him. So obviously, the odds are not in Psygib's favor.
It's a difficult position to be in when you fight someone that normally has your number, but that could change here. It is, in fact, going to be the Nyx versus the Visor. So Rapha going to be a little bit more of a glass cannon here, but as long as your sensors are intact, a wall hack's not going to be as important on a map as small as this one.
Yeah. Then again, though, that wall hack, the piercing sight, it is basically the only hard counter in the game to Nyx, because if you want to get away out of a sticky situation by using the Ghost Walk... Oh, he's still alive somehow. Psygib stays around, lands another rail even, but as I was going to say, if your opponent uses the Ghost Walk and you've got the piercing sight, you can just track them perfectly and catch them the second they come out of their invisibility. But yeah, we'll see how that turns out. Rapha, so far, a very good start, almost getting a frag on Psygib. Psygib making his way over to the Mega Health and actually outstacking Rapha at this point.
And Rapha's sitting there waiting just in case Psygib tries to press the advantage. But he doesn't, showing Rapha a lot of respect, honestly, in that rail's actually fantastic, undoing some of the damage. The moment you get outstacked, as long as you can get one good rail, How about one good rocket? Rapha forced into banana now as there's only a few pickups around. Enough to get back to a regular natural stack, but against Visor, who is only 7 seconds away, actually, from having his piercing sight.
Yep.
That Ghost Walk's not going to serve the same purpose just yet. Rapha needs to have a bit of an understanding of whether it's going to be available. There's the trap! And I would imagine, yeah, there it is. He's literally seen the animation.
Yeah.
He knows that Psygib can see him because Visor just let him know everything that happened.
Oh, there we go. Psygib taking home frag 1, tries to get some damage on the respawn, won't be able to. Rapha playing with fire there, dodging back in, and he'll pick up his rail. I hope that Psygib is aware of that, because very often, once a weapon is picked up that someone dropped after dying, the opponent might not be aware that he actually has that weapon available to him.
I think it's a big ask in this game, isn't it? Where there's so much that professional Quake players have to micromanage over the course of one map. Like the little detail of this person's died and has dropped whatever weapon they had out at the time. It's like, I feel like only someone like Rapha would have those tiny details in their mind. It's so mentally tasking.
That's actually one of my first introductions I had to Quake as a whole, was a video of Rapha commentating and pointing out that very thing in a pro match. So it's definitely something that he will pay attention to. Out comes the Ghost Walk. The rockets are decent and Rapha will get himself the frag after taking quite a bit of damage himself, though he's really low, can't engage at all. Psygib rather will find him, but damn.
He had the perfect backup plan.
Yeah.
And it's as simple as that. You know, very rarely will you catch Rapha in a position where he doesn't have a plan B, unless it's extreme desperation. The wall jump to dodge the rocket, the clutchness coming out from Rapha, but it's not enough. The rockets will pepper down all the same. 2-2 so far. This is looking a lot more competitively.
Yeah,
oh, what a shot.
Definitely. Psygib is actually looking really good right now. Mega, can he deny it? He will actually be able to do so. The nail gun will work for him. Heavy, or Mega rather, goes to him. And now Psygib has got a huge stack over his opponent.
This is a fantastic start. A lot more explosive than Vale was. And that's actually saying something.
Yeah.
More stack now from Psygib. He's going to the heavy, showing a lot of respect, but Rapha was nowhere to be seen. This is the rail, so he tries to take some of that downtime, hitting the Tri-Bolt. Tri-Bolt will hit its mark and undo a lot of that stack.
Yeah, excellent position from Rapha right there. Basically guarantees him the Mega by positioning himself in between the item and Psygib. But still, Psygib actually 1 frag ahead. Right now, Heavy will be the next item to spawn. Looks like Psygib isn't even going to contest. Might look for a rail through the teleporter. Rapha is waiting for that though, and he will take the Heavy.
Yeah, he was looking for some kind of odd rail as he was kind of retreating and put himself in position. Rapha with the re-emerge. He's going to spring the trap.
Oh, this could be going Psygib's way. Really close. Can he find a rail? No! Rapha will. Wow.
That was a game. That was absolutely a standoff and a half.
Yeah.
Both players needed to hit those rails in that clutch situation. Not only that, but the reward of Mega at the end. It's very unfortunate that he couldn't land it. And that was a. Whoa! What's going on? Oh, someone play the Benny Hill theme for God's sake.
Yeah, Rapha looks like he's been having some connection issues right there, lagging just a little bit, but doesn't seem to be too bad. Doesn't sacrifice anything. Only takes a rail for his trouble. Psygib, can he find the kill shot? Mega spawns just in time for Rapha to hang on to his life.
But I imagine Psygib's still going to try and hang on to something of an angle here. He's going to retreat and restack, knowing that Rapha has to waste some time getting some of that stack back himself. But now 3-3. Ooh, very close, and that missed rail is going to give him some information too.
Yeah.
Can he get around? The moment he gets hit by one of those entry rails before, that's where it becomes a bit more difficult. I think that's why Rapha's trying to give as little angles as possible. Like even there, like he's peeking just enough to get a rocket, but not really enough to get railed.
Yeah. Good rocket jump from Psygib though, actually denying the Mega Elf. Rapha gets caught out in midair, takes a nice string of LG damage, but both players breaking away, managing to restack. Rapha looking for the rail, won't be able to, and is instead just going to content himself with taking control of the middle area so they can easily move onto Heavy now.
And now, yeah, Rapha has been able to maintain some control, and again, that missed rail's information, if anything. Mega's just about to spawn. Rapha's in a great position to take it. He's got the Get Out of Jail free card of Ghost Walk, nice and available. You can see Psygib, he's trying to sort of rotate on the outside all the time. He's looking for those entry rails first. He's never going into a fight unless he's done that first.
Yeah.
But this is a bad position. I truly don't think he can actually survive.
No.
Yeah, I mean,
no way.
Left or right, Rapha is in the perfect position to punish you for it. So he's going to give himself a lead. The spawn rail. Misses the secondary one, but that looked like an impossible angle anyway. Tries to go through the teleporter a little bit too hasty, and he needs to be careful doing that. He has it nice and close so far. Don't let it run away just yet.
That's something that you see time and time again when Rapha plays someone. Very often it's actually relatively close for like the first half of the game, but then there comes a point where the switch is just flipped, Rapha takes a little bit of a lead, and then it just snowballs instantly into a 5 frag deficit, and there's no way for the opponent to come back anymore. So Psygib definitely has to be careful not to throw away too many frags.
Everything Rapha does is so thought out that it demands you play perfect against him. The moment you make one single mistake, whether you spawn, take damage, and go through a teleporter just because for a split second you don't think about the fact that he might be there, that's all he needs to start mounting this momentum train. That was a nice little cute jump. See you, Rapha.
Mega looks like it will be going to Rapha, and he even gets a shot at Psygib. Perfect read from him. Can he do anything more? Oh, he's actually going to use the Ghost Walk. I don't think Psygib is aware of this.
No,
he
he's
will
not.
Be. Nope.
You want to beat the Professor, you got to get good grades, mate. There's the opening rail, and once more, Psygib is just... It's a difficult position. Consistently being just completely put in this chokehold of, I cannot escape. I'm getting hit by this rail, and then there's nowhere I can run to safely that Rapha doesn't have covered, that he's not going to spam around a corner, he's not going to hit a rail already, and then just go in for the kill. It's what he's done the past few times now. Heavy's been taken. Fortunately, Psygib has been able to get out of dodge just a little bit, but he still doesn't have a massive stack. Fortunately, the rail's going to miss, so he's got a little bit of breathing space, but we have to think about what does Psygib do next? What is his next call to action? Because Rapha seems to have Psygib just on the end of a string right here.
Yeah, there's still 2 minutes left for him to work with, but still, 4 frags in 2 minutes against Rapha. That's a tall order for even the best players in the world. Right now, Psygib's gonna go head-to-head LG versus LG, but Rapha will take Mega. He's going to push in towards Heavy. Psygib taking quite a bit of damage right there. And this, every second that Psygib isn't making anything meaningful happen, is working against him.
Rapha. He's consistently weak.
Oh! Okay.
Is that a roof? Is that a roof moment?
I think it is, and that is actually going to put Psygib back in a position where he can make a comeback happen. 1 minute and 30 seconds. That's around, well, 1 frag every 30 seconds, and he will be able to tie things up and force out an overtime, but he's got to be quick.
A big ask to do it against Rapha, but if he manages to get a frag sooner rather than later, just get fortunate with spawns, for lack of a better term, then maybe we can see something happen. Psygib's not going to give up. It ain't over until it's over, but Rapha still definitely has the advantage here.
Yeah. 1 minute left on the clock, and Psygib has the bottom position, trying to land some rails, missing most of them. Oh, there we go. There we go. Rapha is low. Psygib is very well aware of this. Can he find him?
He's retreating back to Mega and wasting as much time as possible. He still has the Ghost Walk as well, so what would normally be a terrible position is something that Rapha can just get out of.
Yeah.
That may be the last Ghost Walk we might even see. I mean, with the exception of the very, very end, but that was very pivotal. It's wasting time. At this point, you just need to waste time.
Yeah. And Psygib is just trying to find the angles, but at this point, Rapha, that's exactly what I was going to predict. Rapha just kept on doing the damage as Psygib is desperately trying to close the gap, and then in the end there comes a point where Rapha is like, hey, wait a minute, I don't have to keep running, I'm outstacking you right now. And that's exactly the decision he made right there, and what a good one it was.
Game over. Well fought from Psygib, but the momentum shift was ferocious, and it just stayed that way the entire time. Goes in for a rocket, doesn't quite get the spawn he was looking for, but at this stage, it doesn't matter at all. Game over, 2-0 so far. Now, by all accounts, Rapha has won this series, but we have a third map to get through. It's going to be Blood Covenant. Can Rapha get the 3-0, and can he get the all-important 2 extra points, making it 8 in total?
Yeah, definitely a closer match than the first one, though. I mean, that was an 11 frag difference on map 1 on Veil for Rapha, but this time around, I mean, it was much more restrictive. It was just 5, so it's a lot more manageable, but still, Rapha, a convincing win, doesn't need more frags than that. He's still #1 in the entire league, but as you just mentioned, he of course won that extra few frag or the point bonus if he goes 3-0 today.
Every map counts in the Pro League, and you know, there's not much really to break down from what we saw there other than just Rapha was playing methodically perfect throughout most of it, really. I mean, he was rarely overextending. Those shots were just absolutely ridiculous at some point. And there are a couple of moments where Psygib just right there going through that teleporter.
Yeah.
A temporary error in judgment versus someone that demands perfection all the time. I can imagine that's a very stressful opponent to fight. And even this moment here, springing the trap, perfectly getting the direct rocket, just... Rapha just seems to play at another level every time he's playing someone, especially over in the Americas, where it just feels like Rapha is untouchable at this stage.
And that ring out near the very end, that almost gave Psygib another opportunity to actually make something happen and maybe tie things up, but in the end, it just didn't go that way.
Well, the chance to defeat Rapha is gone,
Yeah.
but there is still the opportunity for one final map. We go through so many of these on a weekly basis, and once more for week 3, it's down to Blood Covenant, our final map for the day, and we'll see if Psygib is able to, at the very least, just stop the bleeding a little bit. Just get something that resembles points.
That would be excellent for him. And he might actually have a really good shot at it, because this is a very unusual matchup. We've got 2 light champions going up against each other, and that's not something we've seen today at all. So maybe that's the surprise, the extra angle that he needs to one-up Rapha, maybe, on this final map on Blood Covenant.
It's going to be different to anything we've seen.
Yeah.
We haven't really seen 2 lights going super speedy boys all over the place today. So I, for one, am actually really excited to see how it goes down. But yeah, I mean, we're going to see how the results go. Rapha winning 3-0, I think, is always the expected result.
Yep.
I did say at the very beginning that the talking point is, can someone bring it to Rapha before LAN? Right now, it's kind of looking like not really, but by all means, there might just be that one final map of the day that just goes, okay, well, gods bleed too, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Rapha has lost before. Remember back at ESL Italy when he was looking absolutely untouchable, didn't lose to anyone, out come the grand finals, and Razy from the lower bracket winning that double best of 3 to become the God Slayer. So it's definitely possible to dethrone Rapha.
Well, I believe we're loading into that map right now as we speak. Another final thank you to everyone that's tuned in so far. It's been a great stream. It's always nice to be back in a studio space. And it's good to be watching this regular Quake action again. It's Rapha, it's Psygib, it's Slash and Anarchy. Best buds, but now they're trying to kill each other.
Yeah. Rapha immediately a very aggressive push. Is going all the way over to LG before going back to his own starting item, which is the heavy. And Psygib has the better positioning, but he's missing a lot of weapons, and that's something that Rapha's got ample of. Making his way over to the rockets right now, and actually slowing it down a little bit, trying to maybe set a trap, because that's probably what we're going to have to see here. One player setting a good trap and doing a lot of damage on one of these light champions could cripple them.
Well, normally we'd be talking about what the difference it makes when it's one speedy champion, and that machine gun is absolutely perfect. And he's looking for a final shot. Gets the rocket, and now Psygib's going to be rewarded by a heavy and the frag lead nice and early. Normally we'd be talking about how this one champion has the edge on this map because they can just run the circuit a bit more, they can collect the items faster. I mean, Slash versus Anarchy, I still think at the highest speed, Slash is the fastest. However, I mean, if there's any champion you want to keep up, but what was that?
2 HP left. Rapha out of nowhere. With that heavy machine gun, I think.
Sneezed on him
and
melted his health. And here comes Psygib, who is pretty weak. Worse for wear! And that rail missing right as the heavy got collected was a blessing in disguise for Psygib, who temporarily was unsure that Rapha was down there.
Yeah, I like the decision to hang on to the injection there, though, because if he had used it right away, he would have been at more of a risk afterwards, but right now he knew that he could take one more rail and then injection and get again above that railable threshold, so good play from Psygib to not use it right away.
I think micromanagement like that is just a sign of composure, isn't it, where even in the heat of a competitive situation, you're 2 maps down already, you're looking for at least the bonus opportunity to get something that resembles point throughout the course of the leaderboard, and in that situation you still don't panic. You still do the right thing.
And right now Psygib is hiding down below bridge, maybe hoping to catch Rapha off guard when he jumps down, but it will be Rapha catching him by surprise. Psygib taking a decent amount of LG damage right there, looking for some more damage, but Rapha definitely outplaying him at this point, and it looks like they're actually going to meet again near the power-up. Rapha, can he find a rail? He cannot, so that means that it will probably be Psygib being able to take Mega again, but Rapha actually just not letting off. He's still sticking around. Mega will be going to Rapha, and now it's the race for the heavy.
Here we go. He's trying to pick out the fight here, and it's very weak Rapha. The clutch decision to stick at the rail.
4
High
HP.
risk, high reward. If he missed that rail, he definitely would have
Oh, yeah.
died.
Oh!
But, the refrag.
Off
Never
the
mind.
spawn. Yep. Psygib just knows exactly how low Rapha is. Just needs one weapon, the rockets. Bridge the gap, close the distance, and instantly getting that refrag. And now the next fight will be Mega. That's a good opening rocket. Psygib knows this. And another one, 60 damage added onto that one. Is just going to break away though. Doesn't want to stick around and see if he can do any more damage. Is just going to go for heavy right away.
Now Psygib is feeling full momentum. Has his injection back very, very soon as well. He has something that resembles a lead, but it's not going to last for very long if he's taking rails like that. Rapha has been hitting some phenomenal rails tonight.
Yeah.
I really do like that. I just feel like he's been gradually just stepping up his accuracy in general.
It looks like it, absolutely. Psygib will be the one to take Mega, and look at this aggression. The rocket jump into the injection. He's gonna catch Rapha. The LG is phenomenal.
Wonderful.
And down goes Rapha. Psygib not interested in trying to catch him off the spawn, just going to deny that small armor.
What he is going to hear is a safety plasma trail. Rapha knowing he has an unfavorable spawn, the plasma trail should at least get him out of danger. Psygib's taking a lot of damage, needs to survive as long as possible. Yeah, Rapha's going to disengage. And there is the Mega.
I mean, Rapha knows he's still got 6 minutes to work with. No sense in throwing away frags right now. He's just going to get the items. But Psygib landing a rail, and that's going to take away a lot of that heavy stack. And now, next major item to spawn will be the Mega Health. Psygib's got the better positioning. Excellent rail. And another one! Even with the plasma trail and that increased speed, Psygib still lands the shot. And now 3 frags ahead against Rapha. This is amazing.
Absolute signs of life coming out from Psygib right now. I think it's also the fact that, again, yeah, it's accuracy. Once more, he's able to land these crazy shots. It's definitely not easy hitting them versus Slash. And you know, the fact that he's hitting these shots is keeping Rapha consistently down. Rapha is being forced to use his plasma trail in not necessarily optimal circumstances. He's using it off a faulty spawn. He's using it to try and just escape. He's not able to put himself in positions where he can make something happen. He can force a position. He can actually get a frag. He's using it always to survive. And Psygib is still hitting these crazy shots. If he maintains this pace and this level of accuracy, then this definitely could be a map win.
Yeah, we're halfway through the map, and Psygib still is maintaining a commanding lead over his opponent. Heavy. Looks like it will probably be going to Rapha though, and this might be the turnaround, because Rapha is the one in control, and he might be able to make something happen. Plasma trail has been used.
Stocking up as much as possible. And it's like I said, right? The plasma trail is never available for when he needs it for the fight. But this by all means should be a kill. Getting stuck on the door never helps.
That doesn't help anyone.
But it is going to be a 4-2, and there is plenty of this game left for Rapha to make it come back and turn this into an all-important 3-0. And the attack! Psygib just hanging around way too long, and Rapha punishing him severely.
Yeah. And that was all in one beautiful long slide, uninterrupted, just sneaking up on Psygib like that. And now just one frag of a deficit.
Nice little rail, but it's the speed of Slash. She can go where she wants, when she wants. And even Anarchy can't stop it on this map. There's so much room and height for her to build up that crouch sliding speed. Plasma trail, Psygib just head-on collision right there.
Yeah. And now Rapha, 3.5 minutes left on the clock. He's got all the weapons to work with, but look at that. Psygib is still putting out the damage, landing the shots when it matters. And that's exactly what he needs to keep Rapha at bay for a few more minutes until he can run down the clock. But look at that, just Rapha landing one shot, 2, and 4-4 it will be.
Absolute perfection.
Yep.
And now it's 4 apiece, and that rocket, how? The prediction, the foresight, and he's going to get the spawn trap as well for Psygib, who actually opts to go down the stairs anyway. That looks like a crucial error. And I talked about how Rapha demands that you play perfect all the time. You can't make mistakes like that when it's been so good the entire map.
Yeah, Rapha just obviously had a perfect read, expecting Psygib to just back down again, whereas Psygib thought that Rapha might go up the bounce pad or try to cut him off, but that's obviously not what happened. And here we go, 7-4, Rapha just turning it around lightning fast.
You can never, ever, under any circumstances, count out Rapha's potential to come back. Like, ultimately, in these positions, Psygib has maintained a lead the entire time. All Rapha's doing is, with the time he has allotted to him, he's just looking for one opening. And his ability to just... I don't think I've seen a player like it that can snowball you as hard as Rapha can.
Yeah. I've always said Rapha is, in my opinion, the comeback king in Quake at this point, and has been that way for a very long time. I feel like when someone has the lead against Rapha, it's not about whether or not they can hang on to it, but it's about whether or not Rapha can actually make the comeback happen. So,
I mean, how many legendary Quake matches across things like Quake Live is Rapha so famous because he makes impossible comebacks?
Yeah.
And comebacks where it takes the absolute highest level of mental fortitude to even think about doing it. Yeah, Rapha finds a way.
Yeah, I always think about this very map where it was Rapha versus, I believe, Razy at QuakeCon 2017, and it was just the final rail over towards the bridge with like half a second left on the clock. Rapha just again showing and proving his worth, and right now with 1 minute and 30 seconds left, Psygib, yeah, he will just go down once again, and Rapha cementing himself as the absolute ruler of the NA division. Definitely looking like he's going to 3-0 Psygib.
I was so close indeed to just calling this one. Hey, this could actually be a 2-1. Psygib giving some all-important points, and even the fights. Yeah. Psygib now is just being just out-combated. Like, the moment the fights are taking place, Rapha is hitting more shots. He has better weapon selection.
Sure does. At this point, Psygib still in it, but of course, 5 frags in 50 seconds. That's not gonna happen. He's just trying to get some more frags on the board. Can he take Rapha down once again? Rapha will get himself the heavy, and Psygib does use that heavy machine gun perfectly. But unfortunately for him, it's not going to change the final outcome of this map.
Definitely too little, too late. It's unfortunate. Psygib spent actually 3/4 of that map in the lead. It's just Rapha does what Rapha do, which is get an amazing comeback potential and just run away with it. And he just has this uncanny ability to never be out unless there is literally not enough time to make a comeback.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Amazing result for Rapha right here, showing us all that he does in fact rule the roost when it comes to the Americas. Not a surprising result. I would like to have seen Psygib do a little bit better, just on the pure basis of, he's trying to prove, just like everyone else, that he's right up there. He is Pro League material, but Rapha is just that step better, and it still seems to be the case.
I mean, no shame at all in losing against Rapha, though, for Psygib, because Rapha just takes down everyone left and right. As we talked about it at the start, greatest player in the world. So Psygib, I mean, he put up a commendable effort, and he almost made something happen on that final map, but it just didn't go his way in the end.
I mean, it's like we said, it takes the best Quake player in existence to be in a position where it's stressful to die, and it's stressful to die over and over again, because you can always feel like the pressure starts to mount up. But I feel like the way Rapha just takes the game on a mental level, that he never counts himself out, because he knows that he has time to work with. He knows he has time to make something happen, and like more often than not, he just completely does. It just seems so effortless for Rapha to do these impossible feats, and the feats that most of us mere mortals would struggle to do in a competitive setting.
I think that self-control is one of the things that really set Rapha apart from just about everyone else. There's so many situations that we even saw today where Rapha just gets the better opening to the fight, and he is in a position where he can get a frag, probably, but is that probably that puts him off and makes him decide that, no, I'm not going to go for this fight just yet. I'm just going to wait it out, and I'm going to get an item instead, gonna position myself properly for the next fight, because I know that I'll have a better opportunity of securing a kill. So that's an immense amount of self-control.
And not only that, but the ability to snowball, because snowballing is how you make a comeback in time limit duel. It's when you're down and you just try and manage the spawns really well. It's exactly what Rapha did, where the moment he started to even the odds, it was just trailing after trailing after trailing. It's a really good, amazing read on Psygib, where Psygib was stuck in the unfavorable spawn by the catacombs, and he just doubled back, and Rapha was just waiting for it, because it's just one step ahead at all times. And how do you truly fight a player that knows what you're going to do before you've even done it?
Yeah, that's obviously something that almost none of us mortals can do anything against, and this time it was a bridge too far for Psygib as well. But, I mean, he showed a lot of life, he showed a lot of gut and a lot of fight, so I definitely think that he has room to improve, and he can improve upon those mental decisions, the mental game a bit more. He can definitely challenge Rapha in the future.
Well, well done to Rapha for collecting the W as always. That's going to be a much appreciated 8 points heading towards him as we go through season number 1. And this is just week number 3. We have plenty of them left to go. I've just been told I've got the leaderboards to show you guys and see what the journey has been and where the players are currently looking after tonight's results. Rapha rules the roost to hang at number 2 and Nosfa only just behind him. With 12 points in number 3. I think this actually is a very, very good current representation of where the Americas are before we've even gone into future weeks.
I fully agree, yeah. Rapha at the top, untouchable, and then the Hang trailing him secondly, but then Nosfa just 2 frags behind. Below that, Chain just 2 points behind, and we've got Psygib again just 2 points behind, so it's all still pretty close to each other. But then looking down towards the bottom, you do have Waz and Brick at this point on the chopping block. They're the ones facing relegation as if it continues to go this way, so they definitely need to bring in some more frags.
There's quite a few defeats on their side. Waz unfortunately did not have an amazing week last week either, unfortunately falling 3-0 to Chain. And, you know, it's a good thing we've got weeks to work with, right? It's a good thing we have opportunities to get these wins and try to climb back all the same. We have got the European leaderboard, which I find most interesting. Today was a explosive set of games. Wenger currently number 1. He did just defeat Kilson, for crying out loud. That is a well-earned number 1 spot so far. Base has been absolutely smashing it, although I believe we didn't actually see Base this week because he had a bye. Can you imagine having a bye and still being top 2? Like,
yeah, it's amazing.
Come on.
Yeah, Base is just looking incredible. And I mean, same goes for Wenger. Wenger is top 1 and he's also had a bye. So, looking super solid himself. And then we've got Hran and Kilson tied for 3rd place, or actually Hran getting a little few more frags, so he will be taking 3rd. Kilson will be going 4th. Now we've got Razy, Cooler, Ave, Garpy, and then at the very bottom, as we've said, a sad day for Sweden. Spardy and Toxic both in the bottom 2 places of the EU.
Yeah, I mean, that does lead us on to one of our last talking points of the night. You know, these are the world rankings, and we can see where currently our players are being situated. Let's not forget, you know, QuakeCon is there, and now we have the weeklies all adding up and feeding in to the Pro League machine. But you did notice the players on the bottom of our leaderboards currently. No one in the Pro League is safe. The players you're watching on these broadcasts are not a shoo-in for future seasons to come. That's where the Challenger League comes into play. If you're watching what these players are doing and you think, hey, I think I can do better than these, well, what's stopping you? The Challenger League exists on a weekly basis. You can get involved and climb through the Challenger ranks, and if you are of the top 2 in Challenger, then you actually can go to the next LAN and have a chance to relegate the bottom players on the leaderboards for our regions. For more information on that, you can go to fce.gg/Quake Esports. We already have players like Dewey in North America doing extremely well, players like Sirius and Cypher over in EU CIS absolutely killing it week by week, looking to maintain their presence and dominance, and you might be seeing these players in the next LAN dethroning some of our Pro League competitors, so that would be interesting, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, and I mean, the odds are very, very real, because Dewey has also proven himself at LAN in the past, so he's definitely a top contender for NA, and he could go head-to-head against many of the players that are now in the Pro League. And then on the other side in the EU, you've got Sirius, you've got Cypher, 2 of the greatest Quake champion players of all time, so they definitely can prove themselves even further.
Well, it's been a great night, and it's been a lot of fun, but unfortunately, this is where we have to draw things to a close for another week. But just to remind everyone, this is only week 3. We have a hell of a lot more Quake where that came from. On a personal note, thank you so much for joining us. My name has been Ketchup, and I've been joined by Flea. This is your first time in a broadcast, like a studio setting like this. Any last notes for the lovely people before we go?
I mean, thank you all so much for watching. I had a blast today. I hope you all did too. We will definitely be back with more Quake in the near future, so definitely don't forget to play Quake Champions, free to play, and keep fragging.
Absolutely. Get involved, start playing some death matches and TDMs if you're not quite ready for duel or the competitive modes. It's still a fun game, and there's still a lot of people to play with. Get in the Discords and whatever. It's been a fun night. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you next week, same time, same place. Lots of love, and take care.